Hi, this is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. Thank you for joining us for our Saturday live stream. This Saturday is a special live stream because it's all about you and your questions about moving to and living in Panama. So we'll get started with that in just a little bit. I'm going to give a little bit more time for for everybody to get here. I think we've got 124 people now, so I'm going to give a little bit more time. While I'm waiting for everyone to get here, I'm going to make a few quick announcements. For those of you that are new to our live stream, once a month we do something called our Retire in Panama Q&A live stream, and it's your chance to ask questions about moving to or living in Panama. You'll have to type it into the screen. I'll tell you when you can do that. Into the chat window, and then I'll pop it up on the screen and I'll answer it for you. Of course, you're also always welcome to send an email to us at info@panamarelocationtours.com anytime, and we'll be glad to answer your questions there too. But sometimes people just want to hear what questions that other people have, because you'll learn a lot from the questions that other people have that you'd never even thought of. And also for those of you that are new, my name's Jackie Lang. I started Panama Relocation Tours in 2010. We offer all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night tours to take you all the way across the country to show you this beautiful country and what it's like to live here in Panama. The whole time the bus is rolling, we teach you important things that you need to know about how to get health insurance, how to buy a car, how to find a rental, just a lot of different things that you're going to need to know to have a smooth move to Panama. We also have private tours that we offer just for specific areas, all the most popular areas. If you know you want to live in the Coronado area, you know you want to live in Bocas del Toro, you know you want to live in Panama City, well, we have private tours for those areas, so you can just take a deep dive into those areas. So the way that it works for our Q&A is, unfortunately, I'm not able to click on your name and unmute you so that you can ask your question live. You're going to have to type it into the chat window. And because there's a lot of conversation going on over there in the chat window, that is not a question for me. It's just all of you hanging out with each other, like you do every single Saturday. You'll need to type 3 question marks in front of your question so I can easily identify it as a question. And I also see that Debbie, it says Chuck and Debbie, it's actually Debbie Klappa is here. She's our moderator. And Debbie, thank you for being here. Debbie's actually busy with the Panama Relocation Tour right now, so she'll have to leave probably in 30 minutes, 45 minutes to go with the tour group to go to dinner. But I appreciate you being here. So if you have a question for me, all you need to do is type 3 question marks in front of your question, and then I will pop it up on the screen to answer it. Also, I have some important information to announce for everybody that's thinking about moving to Panama. There's a hospital in Panama City called Hospital Santa Fe. And we just got some brochures. I put a copy of the brochure up in our online Panama relocation guide. It's the only hospital that I know of here in Panama right now that will accept any insurance that you have. Now, of course, they don't do Medicare because it doesn't cover you overseas. And like Medicare Advantage, it only covers you for medical emergencies in Panama. But any other insurance, they will accept that and they'll do the billing for you. With so many of the other hospitals in Panama, if you have a medical emergency, you have to pay whatever the cost is for the emergency room or for your hospitalization, perhaps a surgery, and then you have to file a claim with your insurance company to be reimbursed. I'm working with a company to try to fix that in Panama so that all of the hospitals will be able to accept insurance. But right now, the only hospital is Santa Fe Hospital in Panama City. Santa Fe Hospital is also, they have their own insurance plan, which is super affordable, and it has no age restriction. I know many of you that are 75 or having a heart, you can't get insurance through the other Panama insurance companies, but you can get insurance through Hospital Santa Fe. The only drawback is you have to live in Panama City to be able to use that insurance. It's not valid anywhere except Panama City. So I see some questions popping up here. Let me see. So Robin wants to know, I have a gross misdemeanor for assault and battery. So usually, Robin, assault is something that you're not going to be able to get a visa for, but I don't want to give you that information. The best thing for you to do is to contact an immigration attorney and ask them. You need to actually get a copy of your national criminal report, and then you need to send that to the attorney and ask them, what are your chances of getting a residency visa? For any of you that have some dings on your FBI report or your RCMP from 30, 40 years ago, if you have some things that are on there, it would be a good idea to go ahead and get a copy of that report and contact an immigration attorney for them to give you advice about whether or not you're going to be able to get a visa in Panama. They're getting really picky about if you have anything on your criminal report, it's a little harder to get a visa here. So Patricia wants to know, are CDBC, central bank digital currencies, coming to Panama since you use the US dollar? So there's been no talk of the CDBCs in Panama. Panama does use the US dollar. The official currency in Panama is the Balboa. If something were to happen to the US dollar and it was not advantageous for Panama to use that anymore, they can always peg the Balboa to a different currency. What that would be, I have no idea. And Jane wants to know, will we need a COVID shot to receive a pensionado visa? There's no requirement at all to have a COVID shot to get a pensionado visa. However, for Panama health insurance, with the exception of Hospital Santa Fe, you have to be fully vaccinated to get Panama health insurance. But with Hospital Santa Fe, they have no requirements for you to be vaccinated. Another big plus for Hospital Santa Fe. Let me scroll down here to some of the other questions. For those of you that came in a little bit late, if you have a question for me, you're going to have to type it into the chat window and put 3 question marks in front of it so I can easily identify it as a question, because there's a lot of other conversations going on over there. So Anna says, hi, Jackie, if a single person makes $25,000 a year Social Security and no other income, does Panama tax it? So no, Panama doesn't tax it, tax your money that you make from other countries. Panama has something called a territorial taxing system, which means that they're going to tax only any money that you make in Panama. So if you sell any products or services in Panama, then you would have to pay taxes on it. But Social Security or military retirement or things that you make outside of Panama, they're not taxed here in Panama. Another big win for Panama, big plus for Panama. And Trailhead says, we may fly to Panama with a one-way ticket if we have a temporary pensionado visa, or do you have to have a round trip? If you have your temporary visa, you can fly to Panama with a one-way ticket. If you don't have a residency visa, a lot of people might not know this, but you can't fly to Panama with a one-way ticket. You have to show onward travel within 180 days of arriving in Panama. But once you get your visa, that's not a problem. And are there any old folks' homes for expats in Boquete? Nope, there are no old folks' homes for expats in Boquete. There is one being built over in Bocan, and there's a couple of them in Panama City, but there's not really anything in Boquete. There is like a home health care place, like if you're recovering from hip replacement surgery and need a little bit of help, there's a place where you can stay. I think they only have 6 rooms here in Boquete, but it's not set up as a place to live long-term. ES wants to know, I've heard that if you applied for a visa, you can rent a car there. Is that true? So there's no requirement that, so this is how it works. You can rent a car in Panama and you can drive a car in Panama, but you're not going to be able, with a foreign license, you're going to be able to do all of those things here in Panama. The thing is you can only drive for the first 90 days that you're in Panama whenever you come in as a tourist. However, once you get a residency visa, even just applying for the visa before you have your card, once you get the stamp in your passport that says that you've applied for your visa, then you're not going to be able to drive in Panama until you get your Panama driver's license. So you're not going to be able to rent a car and drive in Panama once you apply for your visa. I hope that clarifies the information about that. How difficult to find specialists like, so any specialist that you would want is going to be available in David. And Mark, if you look in our online Panama relocation guide, we have a section called health providers, and it has a list of the different health providers broken down by their specialist, their specialty, and where they practice, if it's Panama City and David, only Panama City. So just check that out. Just do a search for health provider and you'll see a list of those. Wendy wants to know, how difficult is it to work as a chef or private chef and the paperwork that you need? So it's a little bit difficult to work as a chef in Panama because you can't work in Panama. Foreigners cannot work in Panama until they get a work permit. You can't get a work permit until you get your permanent visa. The whole process for getting your visa and the work permit can take a year. It can take quite a long time. And then there's some additional, you have to get a health certificate if you're going to be a chef. So there's some additional documents, but it's not going to be easy to get a job as a chef because you have to get the work permit. So you wouldn't be able to work right away. Chris wants to know, is any bank easier for expats for opening an account? Yes, actually there is a bank that's easier for expats or for foreigners, and that's in Banismo. Let me type it into a chat window real quick here. Hold on. So I'm going to type it up so everybody can see it. Banismo.com. They have online banking in English or in Spanish, and it's quite easy to open up an account there. You need to bring the appropriate documents to open up an account, but usually, I know it seems like a long time, but usually you can get your account opened in about 2 hours. Some of the other banks, it can take 5 days to 2 weeks to open up an account. But with Banismo, usually once you go in, if you bring all the right documents, you can get an account in about 2 hours. So that's really quite fast. So, hi, Jackie, is there interest earned from a CD taxed? So interest, if you have a CD in Panama, and a lot of people do have a CD, then that interest is not taxed in Panama because they want to encourage you to save money and save for your retirement. However, if you're, whenever you're the country that you're from, they may tax that interest. For example, the United States taxes you on your worldwide income, which would include interest from a savings account in Panama or a CD in Panama. So you need to check with the CPA in your country or an accountant in your country to see if the interest from your CD in Panama would be taxed. So I know a lot of you came in just recently. If you have a question for me, you'll need to type it into the chat window, and please put 3 question marks in front of it so that I can quickly and easily identify it as a question. Have you seen any significant expat departure from Panama due to the last round of protest? There were certainly some people that left after the last round of protest. Most of those were people that had significant health problems that were really kind of planning to leave anyway, to go back to where they could use Medicare or whatever. But I haven't seen a significant, but we've certainly seen some. The other thing that we've seen that has been curious is that in Chiriquí province, in Boquete, Volcan, in Boca Sotora and other places, some people have decided to move closer to Panama City or to move to Panama City because the people that lived in Panama City, they were hardly affected by the protest at all. They had a shortage of produce, But other than that, they were still going out to restaurants. They had plenty of gasoline. They had propane. They had everything they needed in Panama City. So some people, instead of leaving Panama, they decided to move to Panama City. And it's a great place to live right now if you don't mind the warmer weather and being a big metropolitan area, because the rental prices have come way down in Panama City. So that makes it very advantageous to live there right now. What advantage is it to get a marriage license registered in Panama for someone who has a pensionado permanent visa? I've read that it makes things done faster. So yes, if you're married, it's a good idea to get your marriage certificate registered here in Panama. Then Panama knows that that you have a spouse, and that could make things a lot easier. But not just getting your marriage certificate. You also need to get a will in Panama, and your attorney can help you with that. When I got my will, it was $150, and a will is per person, not per couple. So a will is definitely very important to help you avoid probate. How hard would it be to bring 3 small dogs versus 2 small dogs to Panama to visit for 90 days to 180 days? Well, first of all, it would be pretty difficult to bring even 1 dog to Panama for 90 days or 180 days for a visit. You have to bring a pet into Panama, you have to have a health certificate that is an international health certificate that's not more than 10 days old on the day that you travel. And then that health certificate has to be authenticated by the agriculture department where you live. It also has to be re-authenticated by the Panama consulate. All that has to happen 10 days before you leave. And then for you to take the pet out of Panama, you're going to need a new health certificate. And you also have to have an export license for each pet that you're taking out of Panama. The other thing that you need to know that's really important is when you bring a dog into Panama, it has to quarantine for 40 days. So for the first 40 days that you're in Panama, you're not going to be able to take the dog out of your house or out of the yard where you are. It has to stay quarantined for the first 40 days. That's a requirement. So bringing your pet into Panama, the first 40 days, you can just sit at home with your pet. You can't really do anything except leave it there while you're gone. The other thing that's important to know, if you're one person flying on the airplane, if it's small enough to fit underneath the seat in front of you, you can have 1 pet on the plane with you. If you want to bring 2 or 3 pets, the other pets are going to have to go in cargo, in a cage, in cargo on the plane. So it's going to be very complicated to bring the pets. I would suggest that you get a pet sitter for 90 days and don't bring the pets with you on that first visit. Wait and bring them when you move to Panama. So Kat wants to know, I currently teach online yoga classes in the U.S. Could I offer them in Panama? Which areas have a personal yoga class? So you're not going to be able to offer yoga classes in Panama at all unless you have a work permit. Even the online thing, if you're selling to people, selling products or services to people in Panama, you need to have a work permit. And of course, tourists can't have a work permit. And next question here. Wondering if you can use the 100-day tourist window to bridge us into collecting our Social Security and getting a residency visa. Yes, you can certainly do that. A tourist can stay in Panama for 180 days, and if that's how long you need before you start collecting Social Security, then that's a perfect plan to use it as a bridge to getting it. The only complication is going to be is that at the end of that 180 days, you're probably going to have to fly back to the United States to get your documents to be able to apply for a visa, because it's too hard and too expensive to get them from Panama. So you'll have to go back to get your documents. What are your thoughts on buying those PGR new construction homes that rent to buy? So I don't know. I did do a a video about those PGR homes because people thought that maybe everything in Boquete was going to be $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and I just wanted to show you that there are some more affordable home options. So I really don't know anything other than the price and where they're located, but I don't know about buying them. I'd have to go see it and do an inspection. They are kind of close together. And if you look on Craigslist, you'll see that there's other, they're not new, but there's other homes that are less than $100,000 also. So you might want to check that out as well. Let's see, where's my next question? Here it is. I'm retired and making $4K per month. Will I be able to afford an apartment or condo in Panama? Yes, you're going to easily be able to afford to get a condo. We have a team of people that help people find an apartment in Panama City and in other parts of the country as well. And you can get a nice condo or apartment for about $1,000, $1,200 a month. And it's completely furnished. You're going to have an electric bill on top of that, which may be $80 to $100. So you'll still have plenty of money left over to live very, very well here in Panama. What U.S. bank doesn't have international fees and works well in Panama? There's not a single U.S. bank that doesn't have international fees as far as wiring, with the exception perhaps of Charles Schwab or Fidelity. They may waive any international fees. They do for debit cards and things like that, but just a regular bank like Bank of America or Chase, or they're all going to, Wells Fargo, they're all going to have international fees. Do you recommend starting the immigration process for a pensionado visa before or after moving to Panama? You know, there's not really one right answer on that. A lot of people want to go ahead and get their visa started before they actually move to Panama, but that's going to mean an extra trip to Panama. I actually have an article on my website on PanamaRelocationTours.com in the upper right-hand corner. If you type in when to get my visa, I have the pros and the cons of getting it before or getting it after you move to Panama. The big plus for getting it after you move to Panama is you're going to already have a rental place, so you're not going to have hotel expenses. You won't have to eat out 3 meals a day while you're in town for 7 days to get your visa. So you can reduce your cost for getting the visa by waiting until you move here. But some people want to get it before. So check out that article. Kathleen says, can my 16-year-old daughter stay after she turns 18 if I have a pensionado visa? So if you add your 16-year-old daughter as a dependent to your visa, then she's going to be able to stay in Panama after she turns 18. It'll switch to a different kind of a visa, and your immigration attorney can help you with that. If my spouse is retirement age and applies for a pensionado visa, can I get the same visa being age 52? Yes, if your spouse is applying for a pensionado visa, you can be added as their dependent, even though you're only 52 years old, provided that your spouse or the two of you combined have a lifetime income of at least $1,250. Then the only requirement for getting the pensionado visa, you have to be at least 18 years old. So being 52 is no problem. It's the income requirement of at least $1,250 that's important. Judy wants to know, I read in the literature on the website that the pensionado requires at least $1,000 gross monthly income. After Part B insurance is deducted, my net is less than $1,000. Is that a problem? It's not a problem because they go by your gross. They understand that Medicare Part B, $170 for some people, $140 if you have Medicare Advantage, is taken out of your Social Security. Jackie, if you have a U.S.-based online business but have sales from people who are in Panama, I'm conducting business in Panama and subject to a Panama tax and need a Panama work permit. Is that correct? So yes, if you're selling to people in Panama, then you're going to be subject to reporting that income of your Panama sales and also paying taxes on that income and a work permit. I will send my documents ahead of me. Is it possible to drive between the time I arrive and the actual meeting with the immigration attorney for the temporary visa? So it is possible to drive in Panama with your foreign license, so long as you don't have a stamp in your passport that says that you're in the process of applying for a visa. Once you apply for a visa, then you can no longer drive on your foreign license. Pensionado visa requirements, I received $2,200 a month from the VA. So pensionado visa requirements is you have to make at least $1,000 a month in lifetime income. And that has to be, and if you're applying with a spouse, you'd add an extra $250 or $1,250. So if you have $2,200 a month from the VA, like a disability payment, and it's a lifetime payment, then you would easily qualify for the pensionado visa. What is the title of the video for getting health insurance in Panama? So, probably just health insurance. Also, we have an article on our website that would probably be a better place to look. So if you go to Panama Relocation Tours, and if you type in health insurance options, I have an article there that actually has a link to brochures for several of the different insurance companies, for family medical plan, for worldwide medical, and some of the other insurances. So then instead of just seeing a video, you can actually see some brochures on what the costs are and also what's included with the insurance. I think you told us on another call that if we had more than 10K in the bank or across many banks, we have to declare it. What does that mean, and how does that declaration treated? So if you have more than $10,000 in a foreign bank account, whether it's in Panama or you have like 5,000 in Mexico and 5,000 in Panama and 5,000 in Singapore, you're going to have to report all of those banks on what's called a FARBAR form. And it's you could do it with a CPA. They can follow that form with you, but they want to know what was the high balance that you had over the whole year, what's the name of the bank and their address. They will also want to know what interest that you earned on the account, and you'll have to declare that as income. So every single bank, you have to say name of the bank, your account number, the address, their phone number, what was your high balance, and how much interest did you earn. But the form is something that you could do yourself, but it's easier to just get a CPA to do it for you. Is common law accepted as marriage for combined income? No, it's not. Common law is not accepted as a marriage for combined income. Also, same-sex marriages are not accepted in Panama as a marriage. So this is George from Philly. Will you have more rental prices on your site? Thank you. Yes, I know I need to update my the rentals page. We have a rentals page, but it's just a sample of what was available in that snapshot of time whenever I put it up there. If you want to see more prices about rentals, I suggest that you go to Craigslist Panama and just click on rentals, and you can see and you can search different areas and see what's available. Does a cat have to be quarantined upon entering Panama? All animals have to be quarantined upon entering Panama, including cats, for 40 days. How long ballpark is it to get your SSI and SSD transferred to Panama Bank and any of your other banks? So I don't know that you can transfer. You can transfer your Social Security retirement income. If you have any other kind of Social Security income, I'm not sure if you can get that transferred to the bank. but it usually takes about 30 days for it to be transferred to a Panama bank. We actually have an article on our website about how to do that. So look for an article about, yes, you can still get Social Security if you move to Panama. I think the article's something like that, and has a link to the form that you fill out to get the form, your Social Security transfer. Of course, you need the Panama bank account open first before you can transfer it to a bank. Once again, if anybody has a question for me, if you type in 3 question marks in front of your question, then I can spot it as a question. Let me get a drink of water. Hold on. All that talking makes my throat dry. Adding on to your comment about wills, I guess we have to redo our advance directives in Panama. So yes, you'd have to redo your will, advance directives. All of those kind of things need to be redone here in Panama, because whatever you have from your other country isn't going to be valid here in Panama. Will a BS in criminal justice qualify me for a visa, or will I have to have all my paperwork together since I completed my tour? So what she's talking about is there's a visa called the professional residency visa. We have an article about that on our website. And you can actually, if you have a degree, a bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, then that could qualify you for getting a visa. However, there's a restriction that it cannot be in one of the protected professions that's here in Panama. And I have a link to information about what the protected professions are. So Maria, the best thing for you to do is to contact an immigration attorney. We have a list of recommended attorneys in our online Panama relocation guide. Any of them can help you get the professional residency visa. And you need to send them a copy of your degree and then say, hey, am I going to be able to get a visa with this? And they'll say yes or no. And if you can do it, there's also additional documents that you're going to have. And in that article about getting a professional residency visa, I have a list of other documents that you're going to need to be able to qualify for getting a visa, the professional residency visa. The good thing about that visa is you don't have to show any income like you do with a pensionado visa, so you can get it even before you're retired. You don't have to buy a house for $200,000 like the Friendly Nation visa. So for some of you, it might be a great option for you to get a visa. The only drawback are 2 things. One, it can't be a degree that's in one of the protected professions for here in Panama. The other one is it could take as long as a year to get that visa, because it will take about 6 months to get your degree approved by the University of Panama. And then once it's approved, then your attorney can apply for the visa. Can I work online for an American company without getting a work permit? Yes, you can work online for an American company without getting a work permit, provided that that American company does not sell products or services in Panama. If you live in Panama on a pensionado visa and you own a rental in Panama, you can rent it out and declare the income in Panama. Yes, you can. If you have a pensionado visa, you can rent out a property and collect rent on it. You do have to declare the income in Panama and pay taxes on it in Panama. Plus, of course, whatever country that you're from, you're going to have to declare that income in the other country also and pay taxes there. So it's double taxation. You pay taxes in Panama and you're going to pay taxes in the country that you're from. Is the team to help find rentals in Panama City on your resource page? The team to help you is definitely on the resource page inside the online Panama relocation guide. Just click on real estate and you'll see the team of people that can help you find a rental. And they get some great deals. And they're also really good at, they don't work so much with, well, we have several different teams. We have some that are real estate agents, so they're going to go with properties that are listed with a real estate company. But we have some that work almost exclusively with properties that are for rent by owner. So those prices are significantly less, and they're able to get some really good discounts too. What about someone who has allergies from flowers and trees? So let me tell you that my husband had, before we moved to Panama in Texas, he had horrible allergies. He even had to get an injection. I think once or twice a week he had to get an injection because his allergies were so bad. And the crazy thing is, we moved to Panama in this tropical paradise surrounded by flowers and trees, and his allergies completely went away. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. So what you'll probably want to do is you need to come and visit Panama and see how your allergies are affected by everything here. But I know a lot of people, not just my husband, but other people too, have said that their allergies went away. Is there a fee to have your SSI deposited into a Panama bank? I don't believe that there's a fee, but I don't really know the answer to that question. I'm sure that if you go to the form for getting your SSI deposited into a Panama bank, that it will have details about what the cost might be from Social Security. Adding on to your comment about wills, I guess you'd have to redo. So I've already done that question. Sorry about that. So can I apply for citizenship there if I'm married to a Panamanian? Also, how long would it take? That's a good question. I don't think that if you're married to a Panamanian that you can apply for citizenship. I think, but I really don't know the answer to that. You're going to have to ask an immigration attorney if you can get citizenship because you're married. I know that if any children that you have can get citizenship, but I'm not sure if you can or not. We are U.S. citizens moving from Costa Rica to Panama. Do we need a criminal report from Costa Rica and the USA? So it depends on how long you've lived in Costa Rica. If you've lived in Costa Rica for 5 years, then you're going to need a criminal report from Costa Rica. If not, then you're going to need it from the United States. You may need it from both places, depending on if you've been in Costa Rica at least 2 years, you're going to need it from both places. If you've been in Costa Rica 5 years, you only need it from Costa Rica. Where can I get more information about which Medicare Advantage plans will be accepted? So this is the way that it works with Medicare Advantage plans. First of all, Medicare Advantage is only going to cover medical emergencies in Panama, something that would put you in the emergency room or that you're hospitalized for. It doesn't cover routine medical care. It only covers emergencies. And there's some Medicare Advantage plans that are going to cover you regardless of how long you've lived in Panama. There's some that are only going to cover you for maybe the first 60 days that you're outside of the United States. So it's really important to get the right Medicare Advantage plan if you're planning to move to Panama. The best thing to do is to contact one of the Medicare Advantage specialists that we work with. We have a list of those in our online Panama relocation guide. If you go to our website, and at the very top it says online guide, you can learn more about it there. And we have a list of 2 Medicare Advantage specialists. They specialize in working with expats. You know, there's one thing to work with an insurance agent that sells Medicare Advantage if you're staying in the United States. But if you're an expat, it's a whole different ballgame. So you need to work with someone that's a specialist in working with expats. We have that in our online guide. So Irene says, what kind of visa do I need if I want to buy a property in Panama and run an Airbnb? So if you want to buy a property and run an Airbnb, then you're going to need a lot more than just a work permit. If you got the Friendly Nation visa where you buy at least $200,000 worth of real estate, that would certainly qualify you. There's also a Friendly Nation visa where you set up a corporation and the corporation issues you a work permit and to do work in Panama. That work could be running the Airbnb. So any of the friendly nation visas would work just fine. So how do you access your pension from Panama? So if you have a pension in another country, there's a couple of different ways. One, you may be able to get your pension sent directly to a Panama bank account, and then that solves the problem quick and easy. If you don't want to have it sent directly to the Panama bank account, then you have two other ways of doing it. One is you can get access to the cash by just using a debit card from the United States to get access to the cash from your bank. You should know that if you're using a foreign debit card here in Panama, you can only get $250 at a time, and it now costs $6.80 to get $250. So you want to make sure that that debit card is one that is going to reimburse you for any foreign transaction fees. The other thing that you can do when you have a Panama bank account is you can deposit a check. If it's from a U.S. bank, you can deposit that into your account in Panama. It could take about 2 weeks for it to clear, but then you're not going to have any fees like for the ATM. The other thing you can do is wire the money, which is going to cost about $45 to wire your pension every month or maybe every other month to Panama to get access to it there. So there's plenty of ways to get access. Does Dolega and Boquete have fiber optic? So many places in Boquete have fiber optic, and many places in Dolega have fiber optic, but that's not to say that every place in Boquete or every place in Dolega has fiber optic. So something you'll want to check out on each property individually. And ES says, I commuted with the Panama law firm online. They quoted $1,500 plus fees for retirement visas at an average fee. So it's just for one person. That fee's a little bit high. Actually, it should be closer to about $1,100, $1,200 for one person. The fees or expenses shouldn't be more than $250. The fees are going to be things like getting your documents re-authenticated at the Ministry of Foreign Relations. It's going to be translations. All documents have to be translated into Spanish. There's also going to be a $25 fee for a health certificate, and then some of the government fees for registering everything at immigration, plus your actual Visa card. But $1,500 plus fees is a bit on the high side. If you go with one of the immigration attorneys that we work with that are listed in our online Panama relocation guide, you can save $400 right there by using one of our immigration attorneys instead. They're much cheaper. My husband and I are planning to retire early, but at his age of 61 and my age of being 59, we do not want to begin receiving Social Security. Would we need to get the Friendly Nation visa? So if you want to retire early and you don't want to start collecting Social Security yet, then you could go with the Friendly Nation visa. Under some circumstances, Panama will accept an annuity that you set up. The annuity has to be through an insurance company. They don't do it through a trust, so it has to be through an insurance company. And I believe that for a couple to be able to get the pensionado visa based on an annuity, you would have to spend about $250,000, $260,000 on the annuity for it to create enough income for you to qualify. So you could either get the Friendly Nation visa or you could get an annuity. Do many people drive their vehicle from Canada or the United States all the way to Panama, or do most people just purchase a new vehicle there? The majority of the people, I would say 98% of the people buy a new vehicle here. They don't drive their vehicle or ship their vehicle here. They get one here in Panama. Jeff wants to know, can you write a check on your U.S. bank to Panama bank as a form of transfer to bypass the fees? Yes, you can write a check from your U.S. bank to your Panama bank to bypass the fees. They're still going to charge like $10 for you to deposit that check, but that's a whole lot better than the $45 wire transfer fee. Some banks are going to have a limit of $3,000 per month for you to write a check. Other banks have a limit of $9,999 to write a check. So next question. Were you aware that the Tampa consulate can no longer sign documents authentication? We dropped them off there Thursday, but have them sent to the Miami for signing. Nope. So they don't sign any documents. What they do is they authenticate the document. So you're saying the Tampa consulate does not authenticate documents anymore? That's something I wasn't aware of. I'll have to check into it. I can tell you that for those of you that are on the call that are Canadians, the Canadian Panama consulate, the Panama consulate in Canada, they will no longer authenticate any documents. All documents have to be apostilled in the province where you live. So you cannot get documents if you're Canadian. You can't get documents authenticated at the Panama consulate anymore. What is the website for your article? I'm late. So our website is PanamaRelocationTours.com. Let me see if I have it over here. Yep, PanamaRelocationTours.com. That's our website. And we have, I think, about 600 articles on our website. And you can search in the upper right-hand corner. There's a search feature that you can search different topics to find articles that are about that topic. So Maria says, if I purchase an online guide and come on a tour after, what would those fees look like? So the online guide is $595. And if you decide to do an all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night tour later, you get a $200 discount off of the tour. Or you could do a private tour as another option too. How to get an FBI report and how long does it take, please? So you can get an FBI report by going to two things. You can either go to an FBI approved Chandler. So just do a Google search for FBI approved Chandler. That's CHANNELER, I think. They'll have a list of companies where you can go and get electronic fingerprints. It takes about 1 hour to get your FBI report. Also, some United States post offices, you can go there to get your electronic fingerprints done there also. So do a search for United States Post Office FBI report, and it'll come up it'll ask you to put in your zip code, and it'll tell you which post offices are close to you where you can get your fingerprints done, and you'll get your report in about 1 hour. If you get Panama residency and are called for jury duty in the U.S., do you have to go back to the U.S.? No, you don't. You just have to notify them that you've moved out of the country, and then you get out of jury duty. John wants to know about public transportation. So public transportation is readily available throughout the whole country with a bus system. And then, of course, in Panama City, they also have a subway system called the Metro. So public transportation is available. It's also super affordable. For me to take a bus from Boquete to David, which is about a 40-minute trip, it's $1.75. And let me go down here and find some other questions. What if you make things or grow things? Would you be able to sell them at the local market if you're a pensionado visa? Actually, if you want to sell things in Panama, if you want to sell any products or sell any services in Panama, then you need to get a visa where you can get a work permit. Pensionado visa is supposed to be people that are retired, which means that they don't want to work anymore. So you need to get with your immigration attorney about which visa would be the best one for you to get for you to be able to sell the products. Now, this is another workaround that you could do is you could either with consignment or sell those products to a Panamanian that turns around and sells them for you, or get a Panamanian to sell them for you, and they get a commission if you want to stick with a pensionado visa, but you're not involved in the transaction at all. Um, when is the upcoming Panama election that would influence expats gaining immigration? So we don't know what's going to happen. May the 5th is when we have our presidential elections here in Panama. Um, we like all elections, we got some good ones, some good choices, and some not so good choices. Let's just hope we get a good choice, because we sure do need a good president. And then July the 1st is when they take office. It is usually whenever we get a new president, then they could make some changes to the immigration laws and what visas are going to be available. But it's not going to be a top priority. It's not going to be something that happens right away. There's so many other things that are bigger priorities for them to take care of as president than any visas that are available. But it's quite possible that they could make some changes to the immigration laws and which visas are available. You don't have to worry about the pensionado visa. It's not going to go away, but there could be significant changes to any of the other visas. Once we know who the president is, I've been studying all of them to kind of know what their philosophies are, and then we'll have a better understanding of what changes could potentially happen. Once again, they take office in July, and I doubt seriously that there's going to be any kind of immigration changes in July, August, or even September. Best way to get interest statement from Banismo for 2003 taxes. If you go online, they have the statements for the last 90 days on the Banismo website. But if you need it for the whole year, you're going to have to go into the branch and ask them to print out the bank statements for every month. They may have a fee for that. When I went in, they didn't have a fee for it. I try to remember to download my statements every single month, but I just forget. So sometimes I have to go into the bank and ask them to do it. I've lived in the U.S. for 20 years, then moved to Canada. I lived here for 14 years. Do I need a criminal record from both countries? You're only going to need a criminal record from Canada, or the RCMP is what it's called there. You're going to need the RCMP from Canada only. Is it true that some U.S. credit card banks and investment banks require you to have a U.S. address even if you move to Panama, or they will close your account? It's not so much with the banks, but some investment banks, they could close your account if you don't have a U.S. address. I just arrived yesterday and realized I couldn't watch Discovery Plus. How do I go about getting a VPN Nord and setting it up so I don't miss my shows? So why don't you send me an email to info@Panama Relocation Tours and let me know where you live. And there's going to be people in that area that can help you if you have an Amazon Fire Stick, or they can get an Amazon Fire Stick set up for you with Discovery Plus on it. So you're going to be able to get all the shows that you want to watch. So also set up the VPN for you and everything. The easiest way to get access to Discovery, Paramount, Amazon Prime, Netflix, all those things is to have an Amazon Fire Stick. And we have people all over Panama that can help you do that. So send me an email. Let's see, we did a question already about fiber optics. Let me scroll down here a little bit. I'm a retired teacher. To become a teacher, I need an FBI background check. Do I need a second? Yes, you're going to need another background check. The FBI report cannot be more than 6 months old when you apply for a visa. Also, you're going to need an income statement that proves that your pension is whatever it is. That can't be more than 6 months old. So all the documents that you need for applying for a residency visa cannot be more than 6 months old when you apply for the visa. Hi, Jackie. User NNM posted that if you live abroad, you can no longer collect SS income. Yes, you can. I collect it. You can definitely still collect Social Security when you live abroad. There's actually, if you have our online Panama relocation guide, we have a whole, I think it's 150-page brochure that says that all the things you need to do if you're going to be having your Social Security sent overseas, or how you can still get Social Security overseas. So I've got something that just came up that I really need to take care of. I'm going to have to cut this live stream about 5 minutes short, but I want to thank everybody so much for your questions, and thank you so much for being here for our Retire in Panama Q&A live stream. If your question didn't get asked and you need that information, I'm sure you do, you're always welcome to send an email to info@panamarelocationtours.com, and I'll be glad to answer it there. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.